Plaintiff Clifford Whitliff and his friend Michael White say Clifford has lived in his home for 26 years, and recently the neighborhood has been going downhill. Clifford is suing because he claims the defendant's son shot out his garage windows with a BB gun. Defendant Tammy Bunkelman and her 16-year-old son Trenton say Tammy is a single mother, and she admits that Trenton has had some problems and is skipping school. Tammy says she has her son in counseling, and they're working on his issues. But she says she does not owe because Trenton doesn't own a BB gun and therefore could not have done it.
We'll start with you.
I've lived in my home for about 26 years, and the neighborhood has kind of been going down.
Why do you think that is?
I've had other damage done to my property. I had an obelisk out in front of my home, and somebody stole it. And I had a small jardiniere on the side of my house, and somebody had knocked it over and broke it.
What do you think is causing this? You think it's drugs in the neighborhood suddenly? A lot of people have gotten on drugs these days around the country.
I honestly don't know.
Okay. All right. Where do you live?
In Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.
Okay.
It's a nice, it was the house that I live in is about 108 years old, and it was built by a Judge Ricker. And it's a very, very nice, very substantial home. It's basically right downtown.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Downtown, well, downtown in a small town is the whole town. I was just trying to get a good understanding because a lot of the epidemic of pill and heroin use is occurring in small towns, rural towns, and suburbs. So I was thinking perhaps that may be why, if you've noticed your neighborhood going down and things are coming up missing, could be part of that epidemic.
I've lived in my home for about 26 years, and the neighborhood has kind of been going down.
Why do you think that is?
I've had other damage done to my property.
Defendant Tammy Bunkelman is being sued by her neighbor, who claims Tammy's 16-year-old son, Trenton, shot out his garage windows with a BB gun.
Anything else you want to tell me about perhaps the defendants?
About 15 years ago, the people that lived in their home, their son shot my garage windows out with a BB gun. So it was kind of deja vu to find that he had done the same thing. I had gone to Milwaukee for the weekend, and I was visiting Mike, and another neighbor called and said, when you get home, check your windows, because he was shooting the BB gun.
But prior to that, what type of neighbors were they?
I have no idea. They just moved in.
Got it. Let me go to her. Ma'am, you want to give me some background?
I'm a single mother of three who actually just recently moved into that neighborhood about mid-July. I have my oldest son who has had a little bit of problems. He's 16 years old, truancy from school and stuff like that.
Taking him to counseling?
Yep, he is in counseling. He's had his issues, but we're working.
But if he's in counseling, you've done your part.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as you continue to make sure that and do all you can to keep him there, you're doing your part.
Yeah, trying to get him better.
If he doesn't, take him to juvenile. If he won't go to counseling, go to the juvenile prosecutor, say, my son, he's incorrigible and he's getting in trouble all the time, and I'm trying to get him to go to counseling, but since he won't, I need you to do something about him because we're not going to just keep putting up with this, all right?
Yes.
This is advice for you and other mothers. My mother used to call the police on me every week. She wasn't standing for it. She called police when she heard something happen in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
She called police, tell them, come check me out. Say, come check out my son. He may have done it because he's a hoodlum.
Yes.
And I can't get him to do right. And so you're doing right.
Yep. And the reason actually why we moved into that neighborhood is because, to me, that neighborhood was a lot better than where we were.
Okay.
About a couple of weeks after the move-in, I noticed he had a couple of friends over at the house.
Well, first let's deal with some of his other issues. You want to tell me, young man, you've been in trouble a lot? What type of trouble? Why do you think you get in trouble? What do you think counseling's doing for you? Give me some background on yourself.
I just used to skip a lot of school. That's why she has me in counseling and stuff.
And what do you think that comes from? You're angry about something, or you just peer pressure?
I just don't like school.
All right. And is there, you know of any other students that don't like school? You do?
Yeah.
Do they all skip?
No.
So you're no different, but you can't just do your own thing. I don't like school, so I'm not going. So nope. Is that all? Skipping school? You haven't gotten in any other trouble regularly?
Not really, no.
He had a couple curfew things.
All right. And what property did he damage? You're telling me about a BB gun? Go ahead.
I called the police. The police came over, and I showed them the damage, and I have pictures.
You see it?
That's their porch up here. These windows are small. They're only 9 inches by 7 inches. 9.5 by 7 or something like that. The police officer then went over to Tammy's house, and Tammy said that the gun had been removed from her property and that she would pay the damages.
Okay. All right.
And then I went to the glass company and explained to them what had happened. They gave me a bill, which I have here, and they called Tammy at the time. This was on the 8th of August, and Tammy said she would pay. A few weeks later, I noticed that the windows had not been fixed. So I went back to the glass company thinking that for some reason they just didn't get around to it, and I wanted to find out what happened. And they said they had called Tammy several times, got no response, and they can't do the work until it's paid up front. So I thought there's nothing else I can do except take her to court.
Ma'am?
I admit a police officer did come to the house. It caught me a little bit off guard because I never knew anything of an incident or whatever. I've never met the plaintiff at all. I told the officer just to avoid conflict that yes, I would pay for it. Trenton is not home right at the moment, so as soon as he gets home, I would talk to him. I was angry. I confronted Trenton. I said, okay, neighbors saying the garage windows are shot out. What in the world is going on? Because we don't even own a BB gun. They are not allowed in the house. So I'm guessing the good friends that he is allowed to hang out with brought over a BB gun. I admit I saw a little contraption in the backyard. Trenton admitted it was for target practice.
So let me understand what you just told me. Because you don't allow him in the house, you don't think he owns a BB gun. My mother certainly didn't allow pistols in the house. I certainly wasn't allowed to own one, but I went to jail for carrying a pistol.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I know he doesn't own one.
You know.
I know.
For sure.
For sure.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Search his belongings quite often from the
His
incident.
belongings.
Oh yeah, his dresser.
How about under the porch? Have you looked there?
There's no way you can get anything underneath.
How about
that porch.
anywhere outside in the very near vicinity? Have you searched every place on your property outside, every inch of the property?
There's nothing outside besides the garage where there's some bikes.
Oh, there is no outside.
But I can actually show you the backyard.
Oh, you can tell me. Oh, you do have a backyard.
We do have a
Well,
backyard.
that's where he keeps it.
The people that lived in their home, their son shot my garage windows out with a BB gun. So it was kind of deja vu to find that he had done the same thing.
Defendant Tammy Bunkelman is being sued by her neighbor, who claims Tammy's 16-year-old son, Trenton, shot out his garage windows with a BB gun.
Did you agree to pay or not, ma'am?
I did, and then after thinking about it, from what windows he's saying were broken.
Why did you agree to do it?
Because I didn't want conflict. We just moved into the house. I didn't want any conflict between neighbors.
What changed your mind about conflict?
After playing weeks of phone tag with, and after looking at how the windows were, I have pictures here of the backyard and where the target
I'm just asking, tell me what happened. You looked at the
came
pictures?
to the conclusion what's circled with the star is the target they said they were using, and then I don't know what windows he's saying is broken.
So you don't?
After-
You just changed your mind.
No, I did
You
not.
don't
change
know what
my mind.
windows he's even talking about. Judgment for the plaintiff. I believe she owes. She said she was going to pay for it. She changed her mind, and she tells me it's because she doesn't know which window. However, she changed her mind. So I'm going to grant your judgment. Ma'am, I now think that you defend him too much and you are naive to his actions. And I hope counseling works for him, because the type of parent that defends a child that they know is troubled is asking for nothing but more trouble. Judgment for the plaintiff. You have a good day.